Hey guys, Manitove here. What we're going to be doing today is going over the balance patch pre-notice. So let's hop right on in and see what the changes are coming. Alright. First one is Beast Rider, all passives. Beneficial and harmful effects will remain on the Beast Rider when it dismounts. Fair. They were a little OP and getting a free cleanse in transition because it's not considered a death. I didn't see why they were coming off in the first place, but it's fair. Water Beast Rider, starting of attack. So, at the beginning of the turn, ignores defense is being changed from 35% to 25% for each beneficial effect removed. So, when this unit would attack, it would ignore defense and then increase attack bar. So, pretty good. Fair enough. On a shield will unit, I mean, that was basically a 70% damage right off the get-go. Or if for some reason your Barbaro is moving after their attack buffer, like Fran. So, fair enough. Wind Beast Rider. Gigantic Roar. If the enemy's attack speed is slower than yours, sets the attack bar to 0, and they're decreasing it to 75%, so that's a 25% reduction in an attack bar. Fair enough. I have Savannah. The Beast Riders have pretty much taken over RTA, so I see how they've garnered the attention of the higher level players that don't have them enough to force comm to us to change. So, Ninja Dark, simple solutions. Attacks 3 times, increased to 4. The total inflicted damage does not change, but the increases the attack bar by 30% is reduced to 25% per hit, which is actually a buff. When it lands as a critical hit, also weakens the defense for 2 turns with a 50% chance. So, they are increasing the number of hits and decreasing the amount per hit that your attack bar increases, but it's going up to a 100% chance or 100% attack bar gain versus 90%. So, good buff for the Dark Ninja. I know he's been a little bit of a meme. A lot of Dark Ninja owners wanted a buff, so there you go. There's a buff. I didn't think he was overly terrible the way he was, but this is a good buff for him. I do see it increasing his usage, especially because I believe the Dark Ninja has a 30% speed lead for dark units. So, yeah, not too bad. Dark Ninja and a frigate, here you go. Dark Sky Dancer. Amuse is being changed. Before, recovers the allies and increases the attack power for 3 turns. The attack power is proportionate to... the recovery power is proportionate to the attack power. So it was like the Fire Sky Dancer. Now, they're turning it into a Chassoon. Recovers the HP of all allies by 20% of your max HP. And increases the attack power for 2 turns. In addition, increases the attack power or the attack bar of all allies with full HP by 15%. Doesn't make much sense to me. I think that the Dark Sky Dancer is an attack unit. So you're changing it to an HP scale and heal, which, okay. The third skill, Dark Grudge or whatever it's called, hits like 5 times, and I'm pretty sure it's based off of attack power. So, weird time to be a Dark Sky Dancer owner. Sorry for your loss. Monkey King. Light Giant Net. After attacking, decreases the enemy's attack power by 50% per harmful effect. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this applies debuffs when you put it on, I think, like Sleep, and most people put it on, I think it's Sleep and Stun, or maybe it's just because they run it on Despair. So, it's a self-buffing attack bar decreasing skill. So, possibility of 100% by itself. Not too bad. Now, this one surprised me because this is like the 7th buff for the water monkey in the last few patches. And this water monkey, after a couple of patches ago, became very meta relevant, and you see him all over RTA. More useful in Guild Wars and Siege as well. Alter Ego attack, increase the number of times it attacks from 4 to 6, and increase the damage by 2% overall. So it could already kill a Leica. Now it can kill a Light Golem. And the damage is it's just going to be more toxic. It's more viable in RTA. You're going to see a lot more people building this unit and trying to fit it into comps. The biggest boost to this is the fact that each one of these attacks also has the ability to strip a beneficial effect. So instead of having 4 chances to strip now, it has 6. Just went from good unit to even better. So fire, wind, and dark, the monkey wands all get a decrease by 1 turn. Wow, I mean, you guys have seen these on Siege defense and Guild Wars defense. They're already run on Vio anyways, and it seems like the skill is already always up every turn, so it just became a little bit more annoying. Fire Demon, Flames of Hell, increased damage by 8%. Yay. Rework the demon, please. Not an inspiring buff to use it. Sea Emperor, Maelstrom. This is the S3. Attacks won't land as glancing hits. Now, I just want to throw out a little comparison here. This is the Water Sea Emperor, skill 3. Getting a buff, it will not glance, which means it works on wind units 100% now. Because the attack bar reduction would not activate if you glanced. So they are increasing the viability of the Water Sea Emperor to boost his usage, I would assume, while at the same time they are reducing the amount of attack bar reduction that the Wind Beast Rider, which is also a 5-star, does. So this is how we balance things. Beast Monk, Wind, Trick of Wind, increasing it by 25% to land the defense break. Good buff. Fire, Wind, Light, Meditate. When using the skill, removes all harmful effects granted on yourself. Removes the harmful effects first and then recovers HP. So no more going in, seeing the Fire, Wind, and Light one on defense, putting heal block on them, knocking them down to 50%, forcing them to heal themselves, and then killing them. Now you have to do it to the other units. Otherwise, they will get around it and just still self-heal. Fire Ifrit, Ancient Power, decreases the damage dealt from enemies with no harmful effects by 30%. So they already made a unit that we were using as a tank even tankier. Not a bad little buff. Increases his usage a little bit, yeah. Now the big surprise here, Water Joker. Finally getting a buff. They are removing Surprise Box and giving it Surprise Bomb. Congratulations on a side grade. Still not an effective buff for this unit, and I'll explain why here in a second. His passive revives him with immunity and invincibility. If he's killed, he gets immunity and invincibility. He comes back, you throw a bomb up, yay, he dies again. The reason why I don't think that this is a great buff for the Water Joker, although I do see some usage, and you know some people are going to play around with this and try to make it work. Bombs are based off of attack power. So if he doesn't have attack power buff, the bomb is going to be very weak. So, I mean, unless you're going to try to tune a comp that lets him get killed, and then you can buff attack after he reses, and then he can bomb. I mean, that's the only viable way I see people trying to work this in, because, I mean, just coming back, I mean, unless you're going for just some sort of CC with him, I just don't think it's overly game-changing for the Water Joker. It does increase its usage, yes, but still not on par with some of the other 4-star units in the game. Wind Mermaid, Crushing Hopes. Changed from 50% to 80% chance to decrease defense for 2 turns and increase the skill cooldowns by 2 turns. This unit got a buff a few years ago. A lot of people tried building it, using it. It fell out of favor real quick because it wasn't reliable. So this makes it a little bit more reliable, and maybe they didn't waste the mats 6-starring a unit. Water, Wind, and Light Air Shield, proportionate level to the monster, now is based off the max HP of the monster that uses the skill. So, Shield just got a little bit better. Mermaid, Fire and Dark, Grant Life, increase attack bar revived ally target by 30%. Used to be if you use skill on a non-dead unit, it would increase their attack bar. Now it's going to increase the attack bar of the unit that you res as well. Okay. Fair buff. I like it. Sniper. Oh, no. Light. Mermaid first. Glaring Mist, passive. HP recovery amount from 10% to 25%. Good buff. I do not have a Molly. I would like one, especially after this slight increase to the heal, a couple procs, and any damage done is mitigated. So I like it. Sniper Mark 1. All accurate fire damage increased by 10%. These are attack, crit damage, attack, squishy DPS units, so any damage increase only helps their utilization. Okay. Wind, Fire, and Dark, the hidden aim pose is reduced by 1 on the cooldown, which means after skill ups, used to be a 3-turn cooldown, now it'll be a 2-turn cooldown, and so every other turn they'll be able to put themselves back into hidden aim form. Does it increase their usability? Probably not, but it's nice to get access to the damage increase sooner. So I will be working with the Fire one to find out more. I've already found a couple niche uses for them. Hopefully in the next coming weeks after they drop this patch, once the RTA season ends, I can put out some videos showing how I try to use that particular unit. Deadeye passive for fire, instead of a random defense break, it is now the enemy defense with the worst HP status for 1 turn. I like it and I don't like it at the same time, because turn 1, unless you've done some sort of damage, it's still going to be a random defense break, because worst HP status, unless they're factoring in total HP, 100% on 3 units versus having lowest HP on the DPS unit. Which one's it going to target? I want to see that in effect, but it's a buff. Sniper Wind, Veteran passive, instead of increasing its attack bar by 50%, it goes up to 100%. Does it increase the overall viability of this unit? I don't think so, but no. Dark Sniper Reloading, added effect, increase the attack bar by 50% when you defeat an enemy. I don't have a Dark Sniper, so we'll see how people play with that. Now this one I was very excited for. I actually built this unit, the Fire Magic Knight, a star, back before they buffed the Magic Knights, which turned out to be a nerf for A-star the first time they buffed Magic Knights. Deals 50% more damage, up to 100% more damage now if the enemy has more HP than you. Greatly increases the value of the attack speed as your HP gets lower. So we'll see what they determine greatly means for attack speed, because it already had this, and the attack speed increase was, minimal at best, and this is a squishy unit in the first place. So it's going to die if you're taking it into a PvP element pretty quickly. I used to use this unit in the fire and wind rifts back before the buff nerf. So this is going to make me rebuild this and test it out again, because the 100% damage increase if the enemy has more HP. This is just more HP than you. Does not mean HP ratio. If they have more HP than you, you do 100% more damage to them. So, starting off in Rift, this is going to be a nuker. So, I do see it increasing the viability of the unit. Is it meta changing? No. Are more people going to rush out to build a star? Probably not. Magic Knight Wind Tempest Sword. Decreases the enemy's attack bar by 30% with each attack. This is a multi-hit, so it would decrease it by 90% because it is a triple strike on one unit and then an AoE on the last. Now it's being changed to decreases enemy attack bar by 30% with first and second attack. So the first unit you hit, 1 to 60% reduction on them. And then the last attack will AoE absorb attack bar by 30% of all units. So you're looking anywhere from a 90% to 150% attack bar absorption, depending on what scenario you're using this, whether it be TOA or Guild Wars or in Labyrinth, so somewhere in there. The nice thing about this unit is it's very early game friendly. First and third skill are multi-hits. Run it on Despair. It's a great TOA unit. Does it change a lot? Not really. Does it make it more usable and make it more friendly for early to mid-game player use? Yes. Yes, it does. I like it. Water Dryad, Tree of Loss, added effect, decrease the defense for 2 turns. So now it oblivions for 3 turns, it defense breaks for 3 turns, it absorbs attack bar with skill 1. I have the Water Dryad. If you guys have seen my older videos, I do like this unit already, so decrease defense for 3 turns does add some viability to it, so I will pull it out of storage and do some testing to see what we can do with it. Wind Dryad, if you attack an enemy who already has continuous damage, additionally adds continuous damage for 1 turn up to 2 turns. Still storage trash. Good. Gargoyle, all Stone Claws, added effect to stun for 1 turn with a 30% chance. Alright, yay, let's go ahead and put this on Revenge now. Oh wait, they can't counterattack in stone form. Okay, useless. Fire and Dark, Destructive Claws, adds Provoke for 1 turn. Now this is a single target hit, and it provokes that unit for 1 turn. The other gargoyles already have an AoE Provoke, so everyone has Provoke now for 1 turn. Yay. Water, State of Robust, passive. Passive condition eased, so instead of needing to be at 30% or less health, now you can be at 50% less, and you'll be turned into a statue. It still dies in the statue form, so junk. Statue of Pain, increase the reflected damage by 25%. Passive activation condition eased. It used to take a crit to trigger the passive. Now you don't have to, just when you hit it, your skill cooldown time will, if they don't crit on you, you still get the cooldown reduction. Alright. Okay. Light. Effect changed on its passive. When increasing the skill cooldown time on the target that attacks you, the cooldown time can exceed max cooldown time. That is a good buff. Out of all the gargoyles, that list of junk we just saw, that is useful. Basically what they're doing is they are taking the Labyrinth cooldown stage, where every time you use a skill and it goes up by 1 and it can exceed your maximum cooldowns, and they're putting it on the Light Gargoyle. I want a Light Gargoyle now, just to play with the skill. So I like the buff. Is it meta changing? Not really. Is it something fun? Yes. So give me Light Gargoyle, let me play with it. That, out of all the gargoyles, best buff. Probably one of the most innovative buffs in a while that I've seen, actually. So I'm really excited to see how that gets used. Magical archers, fire, water, dark, wedge arrow, get damage increase. They're DPS units, so damage, yay. Fami is getting 2 buffs. Damage increase and recovers a turn instantly if the enemy is not stunned. So for the 4 people that have Fami, good job, GG. Wind, magical archer, out of all of this is probably the better of the buffs. Increase the critical damage according to the amount of HP you lost. Some people use it in the Water Rift Beast, and some people still use it in R5, so beyond that, underwhelming. Now, this is the exciting part right here. Fire Panda Warrior. Awakening effect modified. Increases resistance by 25%, is going bye-bye. And they are strengthening Calm Mind skill. Instead of removing all harmful effects granted on yourself, they are removing all harmful effects granted on all allies. This skill is a 3-turn cooldown. So it's an AoE cleanse every 3 turns. People were building Konamiya for R5 because it's a 3-turn cleanse. They're still using Lisa, which is a 4-turn. So Velajul is a cleanse and an immunity at 4 turns. So that skill, I mean, does it increase the overall usage of the Panda? No, it does not. But for early to mid-game to early end-game players that are relying on the Fire Panda Warrior for R5, that is a significant buff. Makes team building a lot more viable. I also see this getting some play in siege defense, just because of Panda Warrior's ability to proc. We all seen Fin Yangs on defense. We all know Mo Long. Even though they nerfed it, it still seems like it's 2018. So I'm excited for this buff. I think the overall usage of the Fire Panda Warrior will be increased, and that 3-turn AoE cleanse is nothing to snub at. And very good buff. I like it. Good job, Com2uS, on fixing that unit. Dark Anubis changed it to the strengthening from Pure Soul to Soul Devour. So instead of recovering itself HP by 50% of the damage dealt, it now heals all the allies, including yourself, by 30%. Don't know that's what they're looking for, bud. AoE heal on a DPS unit. Okay, provide some sustainability to comps. We'll see how it plays out. Underwhelming. Wind Anubis. Instead of Pure Soul getting a buff, they're strengthening Brand of Hell. Strengthen effect grants Oblivion for 2 turns with a 50% chance with each attack. Great buff. Great buff. Love this unit. I have one 6-starred. I know a lot of people have this one 6-starred. It's a counter pick based on the defense that you're seeing. Gives you a couple different options on how you can rune it now. Oblivion is amazing. So yeah, great. You're going to see more videos of mine with the Wind Anubis, utilizing this skill to my benefit. Like the buff. Wind Mermaid Awakening effect, Strength and Air Shield is being changed to increase attack speed. So They made it more viable by buffing its skills up to 80% from 50%, and now it's getting a lot faster. Get ready. You're going to see wind mermaids everywhere. Just the attack speed increase alone makes the unit more viable. We'll check after this. I think they already have a fairly decent base speed, so we're adding 15 to that. Dark Chimera, instead of increasing its resistance, its critical rate is getting buffed. Okay, well, it was already a good unit. This buff makes sense. Don't know why you had an attack unit that increased resistance in Awakening, but it just makes it easier to rune, more toxic. Good job. Good game, Chimera owners. Now this one makes me a bit salty because I don't have a Wind Ifrit. But they are changing the leader skill to 24% speed lead. So 24% usually means it's a universal speed lead, which means it works at dungeons, it works in raid, it works in rifts, it works in TOA, it works in RTA. Great buff. Gotta get one. And then a whole bunch of skill error modifications that most of us didn't even realize were happening, except for this one right here at the bottom. Fixed an issue of the preceding battle and the replay not matching under certain situations. So you guys have seen my videos. I do rely on Com2S's internal recording method just because of ease of access when I'm recording. So hopefully this fixes the stupid recording issues where the battle just randomly ends arbitrarily for no damn reason. So I look forward to making more videos for you guys. Pretty decent patch, I believe. I am actually looking forward to it. So let's go over here. And we will check that wind. Where is the wind mermaid? There it is. Okay, so not great speed, but they are adding 15 speed, so it's going to have 110 base speed now, which makes it very viable. Very good. Not going to make it one of the fastest units, but definitely a usable unit. And just so you can see, Zhongfei. I think that's how you pronounce his name. There he is, Firebend Awakening. 5 turns down to 3 turns when you buff him, or double him on him. So 3 turns, and then you have Velo Jewel right up here with Sanctuary, which is 6 turns reduced down to 4 turns once you skill him up. So I mean, definitely increases the utilization of the Fire Panda. That will conclude our video today. If you guys have any questions, like what you saw, see anything I missed, leave it in the comments below, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.